as male candidates, young male candidates, it's easier for you to enter politics because you won't be subject to comments such as what kind of man you are.
For start, may I quote one of my fellow party candidates? I've never been a female candidate before, so I wouldn't know whether it's easy or not. But I think generally in Singapore, over the years, I think it's because we have had many batches of male candidates. I think the general public will be able to accept male candidates easier. But I think at the end of the day, if you stand out as a candidate, you will have to be scrutinized by the people based on what you have done, your track record, your character. So I wouldn't say that by the fact that because I'm male, I will be of less scrutiny. And I think it's as much of a challenge for anyone, regardless of age or gender, to stand up here as a candidate. But I think if you would like to make a comparison, I think it is a lot harder for a person to step up as an opposition candidate because the road is much tougher. We meet more obstacles, more resistance in this road.
Okay. Actually, I feel that sex shouldn't be an issue for candidates to stand up for election. I feel that as long as no matter whether you are male or female, as long as you serve the people with heart, with your sincerity, people will see what you have done, and over time, all this talk about what guy is carrying and all this thing, right? You will just disappear by itself, and you'll acknowledge your hard work in a sense.
So to follow up on what you have said, what's the most pressing challenge you have had to deal with standing as an opposition candidate?
Most pressing challenge.
Okay, maybe I can answer. Okay, most pressing challenges as an opposition party candidate. I guess initially before I joined the party itself, even as a member, there's concern about this. There's a bit of fear, you see, from not myself or my family member actually, that whether I'll get in trouble if I speak wrongly or whatever. Yeah, and also I was worried also like how actually my colleagues and my friends will look at me after I joined the Workers' Party, if they know that I joined the Workers' Party. So yeah, that's one of the challenges I think to overcome this aspect.
As for me, I think allow me to quote this song lyrics from my favorite band. 当我和世界不一样，那就让我不一样。坚持对我来说，只是以刚克刚。逆风的方向更适合飞翔。So, say what again?
What band is that?
Mayday.
What song is that?
Well, the title is called 倔强 Stubborn. But there's one more line to that. 我不怕千万人阻挡，只怕自己投降。So I think that encompasses my decision and my passion when I started out, because I think one of the biggest resistance I have is my parents. They are, like as I mentioned just now, they were quite I would say fearful of political repercussions. And when I first stepped up, my mother was objected to it quite a lot. But after I mean, for me, I'm somebody who persists in something that I like and I think is right. So I try to convince her, but not only through words but through actions. And throughout the 5 years, I think she has seen the things I've done, and she has seen the difference between her image of an opposition party candidate, opposition party member, and what I have done and the interactions I have with my fellow colleagues. And she has started to accept it. But I think the journey is difficult. That's why I quoted that. In the journey is that I had quite a lot of resistance from my family, and also I think amongst friends, I think they're quite okay. But some of the people who don't really know me that well, they also were a bit fearful, like what Hong Boon mentioned. So yeah, I think that lyric encompasses what I feel.
Can I take that question? I'm Dr. Poh. I've been a candidate since the year 2001. I've been in politics for 10 years. So to me, the major challenge for an opposition candidate is getting a reasonable, good job in Singapore. Around the year 2000, there was a lot of talk about Singapore moving to knowledge-based economy, or the KD. And knowledge management was the new and exciting field in the academic world. It was just taking off. I think I was the first Singaporean to graduate with a doctorate degree with dissertation in knowledge management and creation. That was in early 2001. Because KM was very new there. I did not check that out, but it was just only a perception. To recap, in the year 2001 election, I was a candidate for Nee Soon East. And that was the time MMD made quite a lot of trip down to Nee Soon East, special trip to support Associate Professor Ho Ping Kee. For my MBA, I managed to receive a GPA of 3.93, but not from the Ivy League. I also received outstanding performance testimonial for 8 years of service with AT&T, plus outstanding lecturers award from both EASD and SFA. But I just could not get a full-time lecturing job with NUS, NTU, or the local polytechnic. I think this expectation is reasonable when there are so many foreign lecturers in our uni and poly. I remember applying for a knowledge manager position in MINDEF. I could not even get through the interview stage. Think about this. First DR in knowledge management, but still NG or no good for MINDEF. This is despite having served NS plus 15 years of reservists. For your info, I volunteered 2 additional years after the mandatory 13-year cycle because I want to ROD or ORD with my unit to ensure there's continuity. And after a while, I gave up. For the good private school at EASD, which I lectured for a while, I was willing to lower my salary expectation to a master's level. But they would only offer me part-time lecturing job. That is why I'm still an adjunct or adjunct professor today. In my heart, this really speaks a lot about PAP. Always talking about a meritocratic Singapore, and also PM's Singapore for Singaporeans, and his so-called and inclusive Singapore. This is my major challenge of being an opposition candidate, not able to find a reasonable, good job in my own country, Singapore. And I hope to have the opportunity to change this unhealthy environment for our country, Singapore, our people, and our future generation. Thank you.
It was reported yesterday that actually all of the seats will be contested this GE. So what do you think, in your opinion, is the implication of that for the political evolution or development of Singapore?
You mentioned that it was reported yesterday that almost all the seats would be contested. Okay. I mean,
not sure whether that's
no. I mean, as a general position, I would say that it would be good for most Singaporeans, if not all, to have the chance to vote. I think that's a very important development in Singapore. It's also good to test whether the elections department can handle elections at that scale. Yeah, and I think overall, in terms of political awakening and awareness, I think the more Singaporeans have a chance to vote in elections, I think it's a good sign for Singapore. If there are no more questions, perhaps we can close the session. Thank you very much.